Qwingo, a simple dice game by Game Right. I was interested in the game when I saw it in the store because even just from the box it reminded me of Twix, which is a game that I played last year and it's from the same publisher, a game that I enjoy very much. It's a family game. I play with my wife, with my daughters, and I thought, who knows, maybe Qwingo is gonna be similar. And it is. In conception, I mean, it's a very simple game, very simple on the rules, but with some interesting decisions here. And also, like Twix, is a game in which players will be involved at all time, all of them. Everybody plays at the same time. Although each round has a main leader, everybody will still do stuff every round. How does it work? Well, in Qwingo, let's have a look at the components. It comes with some small pencils, with the rules, single rule sheet, very short. In fact, pretty much the description on the back of the box gives you most of the rules that you need. A die, a single custom die with different types of food and a drink, very cute, and a lightning bolt. More pencils, a score pad / notepad. You need a sheet of paper for each player every time that you play. There's a decent number here. Also, as you will see after I explain the game to you, you will probably realize that you will be able to build your own copy very easily. Pretty much you give each player a sheet of paper, a normal sheet of paper, say a piece of graph paper. They draw a grid of 12 by 5, and you can also even play with a normal die. You write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here on top, 6 is wild, and then you have your own copy of Qwingo. This being said, I still recommend, if you like what you see next, you want to play the game, of course, that you buy the real game, if nothing else, to support the company, to support the maker that brought this game to us. But, I don't know, in an emergency, in a pinch, say you bought your copy, so you're morally justified to, I would say, to make your own copies. You left the game at home, and then you still make a copy when you're hanging out with your friends, when you're at game night, and you still want to play. So, Qwingo, how does this work? Again, each player takes a sheet of paper such as this one, and then each player starts by writing the numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, and 51 in each column. You have to think of each column as a separate entity. So maybe I write 10 here, 20 here, 30 here, 40 here, and 50. So this is your setup. As you will see, it's important that the 10 is closer to the top, is not on the top of the column where you want to place it, and 50 is closer to the middle of the column in which you decide to place. So you will start with a 2-digit number in each of the 5 columns. Then the active player, can be any player, will announce a number between 1 and 100. Say I decide to call 39. Then the player rolls the die, and everybody will write the number 39 that was called by the active player in the column that was determined by the die roll. So now everybody will write 39 somewhere in the banana column. The trick is the numbers need to be in ascending order from lowest to highest, which means that it is possible that you won't be able to place a number because it falls in a range that is already quote-unquote sealed. Suppose that here I had already written 37 and 40, then now I won't be able to place a 39 there. Then the game goes to the next player that again announces a number, say 98. And now everybody will write 98 on their player aid, on their little sheet. Most likely they will go towards the bottom. And then the player says 24. And we write 24 somewhere here, and probably here. Suppose, however, that I had already written a 20 here during setup, and then maybe I'll place it here. And so on and so forth. The idea is to try to place as many numbers on your score pad as possible, and to prevent the opponents from placing numbers on their sheet. How do you do so? Well, you look at the columns that they have, the combination of numbers that they have, the ones that you still have open. You try to keep your options open for as long as possible by calling numbers that most likely you'll be able to place, and numbers that at the same time other players are not likely or less likely to be able to place. The winner is the first player to fill a column on their player rate entirely. And this is as simple as that. This is how the game works. This is Qwingo. So again, as you can see, you can make your own copy with craft paper, a normal die, and oh yeah, I was talking about the while. If the active player rolls this symbol here, then the number that was called by the active player can be placed by all players wherever the heck they want. Again, following the usual restriction, but in any column that they want. So again, you can make with graph paper and a 6-sided die and your own pencils, you can make your own copy. But I'm happy that I got this game. First, because I didn't know about it. Second, because now I feel morally justified. If it just so happens I don't have the game with me and I don't want to play it, I can make my own copy on the go with a simple die and with normal components. But of course, being able to make my own copy and feel morally justified doing so wouldn't be all that interesting if the game wasn't interesting itself. I played this game only with my daughter Amelia, who is 7, and we enjoyed playing the game. Maybe it will be a little too light to play with my more serious, assiduous, devoted gaming friends. Probably again, if I will play with adults, it will be with very casual players, those that are not particularly interested in learning complex games, those that if you're teaching them a new game, they don't like rules to be much longer than this, and that makes sense. There is that group, there is that category, there is that target, and I think that for that category it may work. Playing it with my daughter Amanda was very interesting, also because I don't know exactly the details, but I get this sense that for a 7-year-old it could be a good exercise in figuring out things about numbers. See that I said that a little technically. Figuring out how numbers work and number stuff works. In any case, you know, she was practicing the idea of putting numbers in order or calculating probability or seeing what, you know, things that are I have a chance in 3 or 4 chances in 6 or 5 in 6 chances of being able to place a number if you roll based on that, calling a certain number. Of course, also the strategy of going for numbers that are particularly useful to you, because yes, you're trying to place as many numbers as possible and to prevent the opponents from doing so, but after a couple of rounds certain columns will emerge as particularly profitable. Then if I see that you're only missing 4 numbers on this column and you're missing a lot on the banana column, then it's not just a matter of preventing you from getting any number. I want to prevent you from getting these numbers here, the ones that you need the most. So, and of course, if I call a certain number and it's a different column, that will be fine. But But if I call a certain number and then I roll a wild, then I want, if possible, to prevent you from placing it in the column that you're closest to. So after a couple of rounds, people will start specializing in one column. And again, it is only possible that then I'm trying to prevent you from getting in that column, and by calling certain numbers, now I'm actually helping you fill up another column. Then I'm switching my strategy to try to prevent you from both. Of course, it gets to a point when you cannot do that, and so there will be a player that will emerge as the winner. The game is more interesting than expected. Definitely, it is entertaining because you are involved all the time. You are making decisions all the time. True, sometimes they're obvious, but you're still making some degree of decisions, trying to fill in the numbers and deciding how many slots you want to keep between 2 numbers. Of course, if now I have a banana 41, then I'm not going to place it here unless I'm really silly. But if I suppose that now I get a 60, then, you know, I'll probably place it somewhere around here. It's a minor decision, but it keeps me interested enough that I want to pay attention to what is going on. And again, the fact that I'm looking at my opponent's pad and trying to figure out what may help her and not help her, that also gives me very small problems to analyze, but interesting enough and constant ones. So in that it's not again big dilemmas, big dilemmatic decisions, but constant small ones. They work to keep me interested and entertained in the game. One negative is that the game can at the end boil down to a single die roll that you're just waiting for. I mean, if my opponent has all numbers but one, and then she's probably gonna call that one over and over again, and maybe I get in the same situation, and then it gets in between me rolling and hoping to get a certain result there, and you rolling hoping to get a certain result there. Because again, if I'm missing one here and 3 or 4 from all the other ones, then I'm simply gonna call the number that I need there and go for that and hope for that symbol for the while, no matter if I can, whether I can place the other numbers, the other symbols or not. So there is that thing. At the end, sometimes the game may feel anticlimactic, but it's a minor thing. The game takes like 10 minutes to play, and they're 10 entertaining minutes. So if you have a game that ends up that way, then you play again, and maybe the game will be more interesting this time. For a game this small, also pretty inexpensive, very affordable, then I'm happy. Again, it's not a deep game, but for a family game, a game that allows kids to practice math, a game that definitely is entertaining for what it is, for the small, simple, very light game that it is. I'm happy that I got it. I'm happy that I played it with my daughter Amelia. I will definitely play it more in the future with her. I do not know that I will play very often in other contexts, but who knows? You never know. You never know. Qwingo, very simple, very linear, very basic, but for what it is, a pretty entertaining game.